Deep thoughts with Cletus. 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 Deep thoughts with Cletus.
Goodness gracious, howdy y'all. I'm so excited that y'all have decided to sit down and join me for this here conversation. It really means a lot to me to have y'all sitting here. We're going to put our thinking caps on and we're going to do a little bit of research because I got myself a producer now. And he gave me a sheet of paper this week and said, talk about this. So I don't know nothing about this thing, but it's a tariff. And we're going to learn about it together. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room. Go on, elephant. Get out of here, elephant. Go. 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 Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Get out of here. Get out of here. Keep going. Go. 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 We don't need you. Go. Now that that elephant is out of our lives, we have to talk about my makeup because a couple of people said that I'm genderqueer. Now, first of all, quick aside, I noticed that it don't really matter where you're coming from. If you say queer with a country accent, you sound bigoted. So that I just want to clear that up first of all, but I ain't genderqueer now. I'm so secure in my heterosexuality and my masculinity that I don't mind wearing makeup. I do this to prove that I'm a man. That's what I'm doing. So now that we got all that out of the way, welcome to Deep Thoughts with Cletus. Today we're going to learn about tariffs. Now the first thing you want to do when you want to learn about a subject is get on the interwebs and go to Google and type in the question. Now I put in, what is a tariff? And Google says a tariff is a tax imposed on imported goods by a government. It's essentially a tax on the value of goods brought into a country from another country. These taxes are typically paid by the importer to their home country's government. Now, we have to think about this a little bit because I ain't never heard of this before. But it's a tax on stuff that you bring in from another country. All right, that's simple enough. Like if we bring stuff in from Japan, a 10% tariff means that we're putting a 10% tax on that thing. All right, that's exactly what it says. It's essentially a tax on the value of goods brought into a country from another country. Good, I'm glad we got that out of the way. My reading comprehension continues to exceed expectations from that high school education. These taxes are typically paid by the importer to their home country's government. Now, in the world, in America, because I'm in America, I'm in the world, how much does the U.S. import each year? Perfect. In 2023, the United States imported goods and services valued at approximately $3.83 trillion. Holy Jesus. My producer also said that I can do maybe one, maybe two F-bombs in a show. And I'm like, how do you expect me to have a conversation if I can't drop F-bombs? So when I say holy Jesus, please understand that that's not what I want to say, but I'm tired of my producer yelling at me. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm confused about this here thing. Let's see how much we import from China because we can find out what the import is on China. How much does the U.S. import from China each year? Now, going back to tariffs, this means that we're paying a tax on that $3.83 trillion to the American government. We are paying the government for the privilege of bringing stuff in from other countries. That seems kind of crazy to me. But anyway, moving right along, in 2024, the U.S. imported approximately $438 billion worth of goods from China. Now, I don't know what percentage 3.83 trillion is 438 billion. Y'all know what I meant. I don't know what that percentage is, but it looks like maybe like 1/6, something like that. No, that ain't right. I don't know math, y'all. I can read, but I did grow up in America, in the South, so my education is not that good. What is the current tariff on China? Now, I do know from watching the news that Donald Trump has put different tariffs on different countries. And if we're importing $483 billion worth of sorry, producer, shut up over there. I can hear you just fine. If we import $483 billion worth of stuff from China and we have a tariff on that, then we're getting less stuff for that money because we're paying more money for that stuff, right? Because part of that money that we're paying for that stuff is just going directly to the government. And if we cut that out, we could get more stuff, but we can't. So that moving right along, my next question is, how much is the current tariff on Chinese goods? All right. The U.S., holy Jesus. Where did that number go? The preview had a simple, there we go. The U.S. tariff rate on Chinese imports will shoot up to 104% at 12:01 Eastern Time. What is it currently, though? Because that's not current. That's what it's going to be at midnight tonight. So, can we find it on Chinese goods in 2024? Let's do that. None of these people are helpful. It looks like the current tariff on China is 34%, and it's going up to 104% tonight. Now, what is 34% of $450 billion? And that I can't read that number, y'all. What is that? That's a 1, that's 100,000, that's 100 million. That's 153 billion. Would it kill them to put some commas in this so that I can read that number, y'all? That is $153 billion just going to the government so that we can have stuff from China. And that's crazy. Now, what is 104% of 450 billion? It looks like that's going to be, this is 100,000, this is 100 million, 468 billion plus 450. Hold on, y'all. There we go. What is that number? That is $918 billion in goods. Now, that's how much we're going to be paying if we don't change the amount of stuff that we're getting from China. You're paying $918 billion for the same amount of stuff that we were already getting. We're paying more than twice as much for the stuff that we already getting. I don't understand how paying more for stuff is supposed to make America better. I don't understand how that's supposed to improve anything. It seems to me like it's just going to limit how much stuff you can buy from China and from all these other nations. And that's just a tax being placed on this good. Now, that Google thing, that's misleading. Now, the government isn't saying, hey, America, y'all have to pay this tax on these tariffs on these goods that y'all are bringing in somewhere else. They ain't saying that. They're telling China, you got to pay this money if you want to bring these things into the United States. You got to pay us this $468 billion if you want to bring in $450 billion worth of stuff. And so what does China do in those circumstances? Do you think they just say, all right, well, we only sold $450 billion worth of stuff, but we got to get this stuff in. So even though we're operating at 100% loss, we're going to go ahead and keep the prices the same. No, y'all, that's crazy. They're going to increase the prices so that they can pay that sorry, hush. They're going to increase the prices so that they don't have to pay that tariff. And that's how it becomes a tax on you, the American taxpayer, the American consumer. Imagine you run a business and the government comes along and says, you have to give us $10.40 for every $10 worth of materials that you buy to create this thing that you sell. And you sell this thing that uses $10 worth of materials for $12. All right. Now the government saying you got to give us $10.40 for every $10 of materials that you buy. So that makes it that little thing that you buy, those materials, they're costing you $20.40 now. You can't continue selling that thing at $12. Not when you're paying the government that much money for the privilege of being able to sell that thing. So what do? Do you continue selling it at $12 and just go out of business? No, you increase the price. You might sell it for $22.40 now. You might sell it for $23, $24. Regardless of what you sell it at, you gotta increase the price. That's just a given. Otherwise, y'all are gonna go out of business. And you might be thinking, maybe I'm misleading you about what a tariff is. So let's check the dictionary definition of a tariff. And it says, from Oxford Languages, a tax or duty to be paid on a particular class of imports. That's pretty much what we said from Google a moment ago. A tax paid on a particular class of imports. And this class of imports that we're talking about right now is Chinese goods. So it's a tax to be paid on Chinese goods. Now, the great big question, of course, is who is going to pay this tariff? Is China, or is it going to be us, the American people? And I think the answer is obvious. If, like I said, if you own a store and you buy $10 worth of materials to make something that you sell for $12, and the government says you have to pay us $10.40 for every $10 of materials you use, well, you just got to increase your prices. There ain't no other way to do it. There ain't no way around it. You just got to increase your prices. And that means we, the American people, are going to be paying twice as much money for the amount of stuff that we get from China right now. But that ain't really how it's going to work, because we ain't going to have twice as much money. We going broke. I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but the dollar is steadily plummeted off a cliff. And that ain't even Donald Trump's fault. That's been going on since 1913. That ain't new. The US dollar has lost something like 97% of its purchasing power since it was created in 1913. So we don't have $468 extra billion to give to China for this stuff. We're going to get half the amount of stuff that we was getting from China before. That means take all of your worldly goods, because everything you have is made in China. These overalls are made in China. This hat is made in China. These earphones, this microphone, everything in our world, everything in the United States is made in China. And now you're going to have half as much of your shit. So just take all your shit out. My bad, man. Calm down. Calm down. My bad. So just take all your stuff outside and set it on fire. But don't actually do that, because you won't be able to replace it for the same price that you bought it at. Now it's going to be about twice as expensive. And this is really hitting people who happen to play video games. And I mean specifically the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not a big fan of Nintendo based on, the evil things they've been doing. Like they ruining people's lives. They going out to Power World. They ruined this poor man, Gary Bowser's life. He's a slave to Nintendo for the rest of his damn life. They're garnishing his wages at something like 60%, something like that, for the rest of his life, y'all. For the rest of his life, this poor little man is going to be paying Nintendo. That's messed up. This guy gets one life to live, and Nintendo's like, no, you're going to give it to us because you help people play our games. Now give us some money. Give it to us. Anyway, so the Nintendo Switch just was announced, I guess, for $450. But that's before the tariffs. Now, people are speculating that because of these tariffs, Nintendo's going to have to increase the price, and this makes sense. Industry experts are speculating that the price is going to increase to $530 for that Nintendo Switch 2, y'all. And that's on top of the fact that these I know, I know, man. I caught myself, okay? That's on top of the fact that these people are committing highway robbery with their cheap little video games selling for $80 a piece. They're selling $10 to buy software that shows you how the system works. Y'all, these people have reached new lows. EA's looking at these people like, holy shit. We didn't know you could f people over like that. I know, man. Shut up. All right? You're just going to have to beat me. Just beat me, man. I thought we believed in free speech in here. Anyway, the Nintendo Switch 2 and its games are coming out at $80 a piece, sometimes $70 a piece. Now, the crazy thing is, you can buy an upgrade to some of your games. You can buy a Tears of the Kingdom upgrade for $20. And what this does is it allows you to play Tears of the Kingdom with a bunch of improvements like better frame rates, better resolutions on the Switch 2. Tears of the Kingdom kind of runs like crap on the original Switch. Let's just be honest. The people who emulated this thing were playing it in 4K resolutions and 60 frames per second years ago. Now, this game came out in 2023, the same year a friend of mine went to federal prison. That was 2 years ago, y'all. Breath of the Wild is another one that they're adding this upgrade to for $20. So for $20, you can pay Nintendo for the privilege of playing Breath of the Wild with the graphical settings that it should have had from the start. So whoop the damn do. You can pay $20 extra to be able to play Zelda Breath of the Wild the way it should have run from the beginning. That's enough ranting about all of that, because y'all ain't going to be able to afford one anyway. The economy is just on a nosedive into the pit, and these tariffs ain't even really taken effect yet. It's only going to get worse from here, y'all. And these tariffs, they ain't going to make America great again. They just going to make us all poorer. I wish I had better news to end this episode with, but unfortunately, I just don't. These tariffs are happening. There's nothing we can do, y'all, because Trump ain't got another presidency that he can worry about running for. So he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. And what he wants to do is bad for us, the American people. It's not good. And things ain't going to get any better. Y'all look out for each other. Y'all take care of each other. Send each other some love. Be there for each other when y'all need it. Because you need your neighbors to be there for you when you need it. I would recommend, this is not financial advice, I would recommend getting some cryptocurrency, maybe some gold, maybe some silver, maybe stock up on canned goods, maybe just, prepare for the end of the world. I don't think the world is about to end, but it don't hurt to be prepared. And we don't know what this maniac's going to do next. He won't take military force off the table and taking Greenland. You talking about invading an ally. Do you know that? Did you know that, sir? And that's crazy. We don't know what this man's going to do next. So do what you can to protect yourself, protect your family, take care of each other, be good to each other. Thank y'all for watching. I hope to see y'all again soon, but my producer is about to yell at me because now he's got to do all of this editing. So hopefully he'll still be willing to do another episode if I can watch my language, but we'll find out. Thank y'all for listening. This has been Deep Thoughts with Cletus, and I hope to see you again soon.